Okay, we're gonna work with exam prep exercises, kind of like a review for operations with irrationals. In this case, we're gonna solve 4 exercises related to exam. So let's begin with this one. Okay, I'm asked to perform the operations with these square roots. You're gonna focus first on the parentheses that we have in here, because if you remember PEMDAS, then we need to do basically the parentheses first. So I see that they are like terms, they have the same square root. It's like if they had the same letter, like I have x minus 3x, that would be negative 2x. So it's kind of like the same idea. Just when you have the same square roots, you're gonna perform the operation because they are like terms. Okay, so remember that there's an invisible 1 in here, so it's 1 square root of 4 minus 3 square root of 4. That will be negative 2 square root of 4. Okay, then this thing inside parentheses, because it's in parentheses and it's attached to the 5 square root of 2, we have a multiplication in here. So with these two things, we are basically going to multiply them. Okay, how do you multiply square roots? You're going to multiply the numbers outside, like number 5, with the number outside as negative 2. And the numbers inside of the square root as 2 with the number inside the square root as number 4. So let's perform the multiplication in this case. So 5 times negative 2 is going to be negative 10. So I'm going to put minus 10 in here. And square root of 2 times square root of 4 is going to be square root of 8. Okay. Now once I do that multiplication, then the next thing to do in PEMDAS is basically adding and subtracting. You can see that this one is a square root of 8 and this one is also a square root of 8. So they are like terms. I can perform the operation. Minus 10 plus 8 will be negative 2. And I copy the square root. So it will be negative 2 square root of 8. Okay. Now 8 is the same thing as 4 times 2. So we're going to get the square root of 4 and we're going to leave that 2 inside. It's going to be this way. Okay. It's going to be 2 square root of 2. Okay, the minus, I copy it. Okay, obviously the square root of 3, I copy it. The number 2 outside, I copy the number 2 outside. Now square root of 4 is 2. Okay, but square root of 2, you cannot get an answer for square root of 2, so you're gonna leave the square root of 2 there also. Now because this thing is attached to the 2 outside, I'm gonna put parentheses because they are multiplying. And when you multiply square roots, remember you multiply outside with outside. So I'm gonna multiply this 2 outside with this other 2 outside. Okay, so 2 times 2 is gonna be 4, so the answer will be negative 4 square root of 2. I'm gonna put it in here, and that will be the answer for this exercise. Square root of 3 minus 4 square root of 2. Now in the next exercise we have 4 minus square root of 4 plus 4 square root of 2 minus square root of 4 minus 4 plus square root of 3. There are no multiplications in here that we have like with a parenthesis or something like that. So what we're gonna do in this case is we're gonna get the square roots. Okay, square root of 4 is number 2, so I'm gonna get all of the square roots that I can. So instead of square root of 4, I'm gonna put 2. Instead of square root of 4, I'm gonna put 2. And then we're gonna perform the operations. 4 minus 2 is 2. Minus 2 is 0. Minus 4 will be negative 4. So what we have in here is negative 4. Plus 4 square root of 2. Because there is no other square root of 2 there, so I just copy it. And plus square root of 3. Okay. Now I'm gonna try writing these things in order, like organize the square roots from the highest to the lowest. So it's gonna be square root of 3 first, then plus 4 square root of 2, and then minus 4. Okay. It's okay if you had it the previous way, like it doesn't matter that much. But in an online quiz, in this case, it would matter, like organizing them in this order. Okay, and that's it. Okay, we just get the square roots of 4, we perform the operations, and we copy the ones that have no like terms. And the next one, same thing. We don't have a multiplication in here, so we're just gonna get the square roots that we can. Like number 4, if I get the square root of 4, that will be 2, because 2 times 2 gives me 4, so that's why I get number 2. 49 has also a square root, which will be 7, because 7 times 7 is 49. Okay. Now square root of 3, that's not possible. We just copy it. Okay. Same thing with this one. Okay. Now that we have this, we're gonna add or subtract like terms. Like this 2 square root of 3 is gonna be added with this 1 square root of 3. 2 square root of 3 plus 1 square root of 3 will be 3 square root of 3. So I'm gonna put 3 square root of 3. And the numbers 2, this 2, minus 7 is gonna be negative 5. So I'm gonna put negative 5 in here, and that will be the answer. Okay, the last one, we have a multiplication again, okay? And inside the parentheses, these two numbers are not like terms, because this is a square root of 2 and this is a square root of 3. Because they are different, I cannot add them, so what I'm gonna do is multiply with the number outside. I'm gonna use this distributive property to multiply both of them. Okay. Now remember always that when you multiply the number outside with the number outside. In this case it will be negative 3 times 1. Okay, that will be negative 3. And square root of 3 times square root of 2, that's going to give you square root of 6. Okay. Then minus 3 times positive 5 is going to be negative 15. And square root of 3 times square root of 3 is going to be square root of 9. Then I copy the negative square root of 6 because that one is outside of the parentheses, so you're not going to multiply it because you multiply until the parenthesis ends. After that you just copy it. Then I have 2 square roots of 6 in here, so I can perform an operation with them. Negative 3 square root of 6 minus 1 square root of 6 will be negative 4 square root of 6, and this one basically disappears. Now negative 15, I copy it. Square root of 9, I know that the square root of 9 is 3. So I put 3 inside parentheses. And because they are multiplying, then you just multiply 15 times 3, and that's going to give you 45. And that will be your answer. Negative 4 square root of 6 minus 45. They are different, so you cannot operate them. That will be it.